Glory to your house, the house of Apollo, where the echoes of legends are all we follow. Turn it up, feast your eyes, feel the fever ignite. Glory to your house, we burn through the night. We burn through the night.
All right, I got a quick one for you. Before we dive into the numbers, I want to really quickly just kind of establish a pattern and give us a nice little base here to kind of frame how I'm going to finish this video out. Because by now, we should all know that Starfleet Academy has underperformed. And now that we're a few days past having to accept that it's underperformed, well, certain things have happened. The main one being the fans, as usual, have been attacked. Outlets like Collider, IGN, comicbook.com, /film, you name it, they're out there with the pitchforks and the torches, working overtime to frame any criticism as review bombing. And that's right, in the modern era, if there's any kind of disparity between how the critics feel and the fans feel, it is automatically review bombing. And of course, those fans who took the time to criticize, well, they're labeled as right-wing or disgruntled or bad faith actors. Never, ever are they discussed as being dissatisfied viewers or unhappy customers. Just always political enemies. Now you may be asking why. Well, because it's simple. If you can shame and blame the audience, you never have to explain why they stopped watching, never watched, or never went to the theater. So let's go back a few weeks and talk about where this really all started, because the show wasn't really generating much buzz. There was just kind of a general sense of dread or malaise about the whole thing. And so you start seeing the actors, Robert Picardo's tweeting away, taking a break from smashing everybody that doesn't agree with him politically, to hyping up the show and saying things like it's a return to form. They're on the red carpet saying things like, hey, this is a show that has a respect for the legacy.
Either real world leaders or Star Trek captains, admirals, chancellors that Nala reminds you of or that you pulled inspiration from for this character?
Well, I have such respect, intense respect for the legacy of Star Trek and for Kate Mulgrew, who started.
It's built for the classic Trek fan.
I'm very much looking forward to this. Star Trek has always provided a commentary on our society, the human experience. And my impression that Starfleet Academy is in keeping with that tradition.
It sure is. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's keeping in the tradition. I've seen a little bit, so I won't give you any.
So what happened? Classic fans, they stood by and they watched, and no one took the bait. So that means it's time for plan B, which was, well, you guys hate everything at first. You always overreact.
Academy has been such a huge part of the Star Trek franchise. Yeah. We're finally getting a moment to talk about it. What are you excited to share to fans?
I am excited for the fans to dissect absolutely everything that they hate.
Yep. They will do that.
Because it is a Star Trek rite of passage, and we know y'all are going to do it, and you're allowed to do it, because that is your right as fans. Say whatever you want. We love it. I love it. The cast is so incredible.
That didn't work. So it's time for plan C. That's where the gaslighting starts. You see, this show isn't actually for you. It's for the modern audience. And see, for me, that's my personal favorite pivot, because that means that they had to stop patting themselves on the back. Barry Horowitz, patting themselves on the back just long enough to understand that reality is about to kick the door open. That means it's put up or shut up time. Facts are a very stubborn thing. And sure, you can argue reviews, you can editorialize the motives behind those reviews, but you cannot spin viewership over time. And so this is where Marv's article is brilliant, because the one thing about Marvin Montanaro is whenever you read any of his articles, whether it be on thatparkplace.com or Geeks and Gamers, you know it's going to be jam-packed with context. And context is what matters. It's king. So, back to the story. Marv lets us know that, hey, Paramount Plus released Starfleet Academy, a premier flagship show, by the way, for a 60-year-old brand at this point, for free on YouTube. This is the second time they did this. They tried this first on regular CBS with Discovery, because no one had, what was it called, CBS All Access. But again, a desperation move meant to boost awareness for the show and try to funnel in people to get them to watch it on Paramount Plus. So, after 4 days on its free premiere, the episode struggles to reach 150K to 160K total viewers. Ugh. Meanwhile, the live premiere, its concurrency only peaked around 1,200 to 1,400 viewers. Now, for some additional framing. See, Paramount's official premiere was outperformed, but not by a rival studio, not by a major outlet, but by YouTuber Nerdrotic. Gary just simply put a Spock action figure in front of a camera, a static camera. He didn't move it. Spock just stood there. And at the end of the day, it got more live views, had more engagement, more sustained interest, and more mainstream media coverage than the brand new premiere of a flagship show of a 60-year-old franchise on a major streaming provider. More people wanted to watch a static feed of Spock, which proved to be more appealing to the fans and the general audience than 2 hours of new Trek. We've got to be honest now. This isn't review bombing. It's objective truth. Now, for some additional perspective. Again, we're talking about Star Trek, one of the most recognizable sci-fi brands in entertainment history. We're not talking about some unknown, untested pilot from a brand new unknown IP. We're talking 13 movies, 2.27 billion earned at the box office, over 600 hours of beloved classic content. I'm not talking about any of the Kurtzman era Drek. That puts you at over 800 hours, I believe. But a show that has had decades of cultural influence, not just in entertainment, but in the arts, in science, and technology. Everything from your flip phone, your iPad, Neil deGrasse Tyson, NASA, and SpaceX have all been influenced by Star Trek. Star Trek has been a crucial cultural pillar since the 60s. So here we are now in 2026. Give it away for free on the largest multimedia outlet on the planet in YouTube. Its engagement reality, well, the likes, the comments, the live chat activity, to be polite, it was anemic. Frankly, that is signaling that interest wasn't just weak, it's damn near dead. And this isn't because of some controversy-driven suppression. That's people making a choice. And the people, well, they chose Spock. So to be fair, Starfleet Academy, it had a modest debut on Paramount Plus. It landed in the platform's top 10. But within 48 hours, it started to slip. Within 72 hours, it fell to the bottom of the chart. Once we hit the 5-day mark, it was out of the top 10 to begin with, and not anywhere to be seen. Now here we are, a full 7 days later. There is no post-launch acceleration curve. There is no late discovery surge. No algorithmic rescue. No word-of-mouth growth. No rebound. Hell, people haven't even logged in to hate watch it. As a matter of fact, I say they've done a hell of a lot worse. They've only shown apathy. So, now that we're in a space where the only thing that's collapsed faster than the ratings, well, have been the excuses, what's to do? Well, they still have one more move that gets played. You see, as they can't deny that this thing has been an abysmal failure, we're going to start to be told that, well, we're not real fans. And because we're not real fans, we're going to be labeled racist or sexist or dangerous. And again, why? Well, because in modern Hollywood, accountability is the ultimate enemy, and self-victimization, their shield. So, as predicted, yet again, under the Kurtzman era, Alex Kurtzman has promised another franchise for everyone that ultimately appeals to no one. It's another audience insulted. It's another failure that is going to be blamed on the amoral politics of the fans instead of the show's quality. But let's take a second and really break this down even further.
Break it down!
New Trek doesn't fail because the fans are evil. It fails because it's built for the mythic modern audience. Who never shows up. Because they aren't real. The modern audience is a contrivance created by people who live in a myopic bubble with no life experience and no perspective. They're just simply trying to justify their inability to connect with real people in the real world, and of course, the resulting failures that reoccur, and the creative debacles that they generate. So, what's the lesson to learn here? If you aren't trying to speak to the general audience, especially one that is family friendly, you're selfishly speaking to yourself. See, the modern audience doesn't exist, but the general audience does. The general audience is all demographics. It is infinite diversity in infinite combinations. But when you take the time to go out of your way to insult the general audience, well, the general audience, it stops listening. Most importantly, it stops watching. You see, people like Kurtzman, people of his ilk, they refuse to learn the lesson that talking to the general public is the way to go, that the general audience is here, ready, eager, but that they don't want to be lectured. They don't want ideology jammed into their entertainment, and that they're just looking to escape for a little bit. And if maybe they can learn something, if maybe they can sit down and know that their shows are kid friendly and free of vulgarity and just modern day politics, they'll probably back you, right? Right? I don't think it's that hard. But at the end of the day, these folks, well, rather than admit that they've been wrong, they'd rather burn legacy IPs down to the ground and leave them behind before they admit that not only are they the ones who are incapable of carrying it forward, they had no business being there. So I don't want to end this on a downer, because at the end of the day, the beauty of Star Trek is that it is intended for everyone, everywhere. It's rooted in humanism / the faith of the human condition, and ultimately it's driven by eternal optimism. So, well, Paramount, it has new leadership, and the Star Trek rumor mill is a turning. So, while we sit down to wait to see what fruit bears from the tree of hope, in the meantime, I encourage you, check the show out for yourself and listen. Don't be embarrassed if you happen to like it. Like what you like. It's okay. Entertainment is, in and to itself, subjective. However, quality and craftsmanship, that's objective.
From the ink of the comics to the glow of the tube, every twist, every turn keeps us locked in the groove. TV's flashing neon, check the microphone. We're the speakers of subjects, the kings of the